Hey everyone, welcome to my channel for another exciting and fun-filled episode on this Passagemaker dinghy build. We got lots to do, so let's get at it. Alright, so we left off last episode working on the fairing out the edges on here, and I think they've come out pretty good. The this is the rudder here, and there's, I think I showed this before. There's just a few spots of some wonkiness, but overall I'm pretty happy with the way that came out. And then I was finishing up the Dagger board here, and this is the side that I did the routing on, and then went back and sanded it down. So I think we did pretty good there. A little bit wonky up in here. You can see that's a little off, but looking at the profile of it here, if I can get a shot. Looks pretty darn good to me. So we'll put these aside for now. Like I said, they want us to put a coat of epoxy on both sides of both the Dagger board and the rudder. I'm still thinking about that, how I'm going to do it. To tell you the truth, I'm pretty tempted to take these inside the house and do it inside the house, but I'm not there yet. But that's these small pieces. That's what I'm thinking, is turn the AC inside down to 70 or so, and just go ahead and do them inside. But we'll see. All right, so let me pause here, and we'll show you what I'm working on today. All right, so the manual here shows the rudder assembly. We've got two rudder cheeks and then a rudder spacer, and then the rudder goes here, and there's two holes in the rudder cheeks already for that. What they want us to do is to put the rudder spacer down on each side, and then trace it out, and then coat that area only with epoxy. And they say 2 to 3 coats of just regular epoxy on that area, because it'll be underwater a lot of the time. And here they show the picture of how it should look. And then they want us to do a glue up of gluing all 3 parts together. And again, here we go with gluing the parts together and no indexing. And then they show doing the same thing with the Dagger board cheeks on either side. If we come back here farther, that was the fairing. We already did that. And then tiller, we're not going to worry about that. So yeah. So I wanted to make sure, here's a little bit better picture of the completed assembly without the rudder hanging on it yet. But they show these pintles going on the rudder cheeks here and where they are in relation. So what I've already done is, let's see, so when I go to do the indexing on putting some pins in all 3, I wanted to make sure I was outside of that spot. So I've already got the 2 spots marked. So the pintle, which is this piece here, goes on right about there, where I've got those 2 other marks, and you can see the where I want to put the 2. We'll call them indexing pegs or something. I don't know. So I want to put the 2 of them there, and then I've already got this spot here, and I've got a dowel already that fits that. I think it's is it 5/16 or something like that. So I've got a dowel that are already fitting there. So we've got that. And the problem is that doesn't go through the spacer. It only goes through the 2 cheeks, but we still got that. So anyways, let me get you set up. I'll get this together in the right spot, clamped, and then we'll see if we can get these holes drilled. And the reason I want to do that now is that, so once I get the holes drilled and get the pegs fitted in here, then when I come to do the outline, I'll have the rudder spacer here in exactly the right spot, and then I can trace the line and be all ready for some epoxy on this area here, and then do the same on the other area. Alrighty, so I think the best way to do this is going to be to stand them up like this, because this bottom edge here needs to be flush, and that really kind of sets the space of this spacer. And like this, and then if I just take a flat edge and hold it like this and get them like that, and then I've got my dowel for the center part here, and then also looking at that from the top down, you can kind of eyeball it a little bit better to see if it's at a right angle or if it's tilted one way or another. So that looks pretty good. Oop, I'm not going to be able to get the drill in there. Hold on. All right, that looks pretty good. Let me turn you around so we can show you on the drill press. All right, then I had to move the clamps around a little bit, and I've got a piece of scrap plywood underneath the boards here. Hopefully we'll get that in the right spot here. All right, not too shabby. Now I'll just get a couple of dowels here. All right, I just need this sand up a little bit here. Yeah, let's just do the drill trick for just a little bit here. All right, there's the other one in. It's a good deal. So now I should be able to take these guys off. Yep, pretty good, pretty good. Now, let's see. We'll do this side first. Now I can go ahead and make my make the mark on the edge of this right here. Yep, got a good mark there. Now to make sure I don't hose this up. There, good. So just got to remember this is the spots that need epoxy. It's good. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and do the drill the holes for the Dagger board part. Let me get it down here in just a minute. This is going to be a little bit awkward getting this big old thing on the drill press. I've already went ahead and marked the spot where I wanted to put I'm going to just put 2 pegs in here and here, and that should give us enough to get this stable. But this one's going to be a little bit more finicky because there's not really a good flat edge. You know, maybe the inside of this handle spot here is pretty good, but it wants to, they really want to walk around on us here. And I think that's close enough. We'll probably end up having to sand it anyways. So if it's off a little bit, it'll be sanded later on. So let me see if I can get this monstrosity over to the drill press without messing it up. All right, doesn't look too bad. I'll go ahead and get the pegs in, and we'll figure out where we're going to go from there. Alrighty then, another day out here in the shed and working on the boat. I was thinking about the this rudder cheek assembly and the rudder, and one of the things that I've decided to do is on this rudder cheek assembly and the pin, that the bolt that will go through this hole and go through the rudder and onto the other cheek. This and if you remember, they've got us they've got us putting epoxy inside this area here, because once we put this all together, we won't even really have access to here. It'll be smushed in between everything. So they've got us putting epoxy in here. So the one thing that I've decided to do that's off off manual is I'm going to go ahead and drill out these holes bigger, and then we'll fill them with thickened epoxy and then re-drill them to the right size. So these are 5/16 inch holes the way they sit right now. I'm going to drill them out to 1/2 inch, and then when we go to do the glue up and the epoxying, we'll go ahead and put thickened epoxy in here and then come back and re-drill that 5/16 inch hole. So that's drill, fill, and drill, and that'll give us a lot more life than just having, even if we got a good amount of clear epoxy in here, it's going to wear down, and then it'll expose the expose this plywood to water. So I'm going to do some preventative work ahead of time here to do that. So what I did is I've got a step drill bit, and I've put tape at the 1/2 inch mark here. Now, since this is tapered, and this part here where it's 1/2 inch isn't really thick enough to go all the way through the plywood, what I'll have to do is drill one side, flip it over, and drill the other side. So let's go ahead and get that done first thing here, and see what else we can get into. Yeah, and the reason I picked the tapered drill, the step bit drill here, is to help with the centering, because I want to make sure I've got this just about as dead center as I can get it, so that hopefully when we go to drill it back out, we can just hit the center and have the hole in the right spot. When I do the when I go back and do the 5/16 inch hole, I might actually just put the whole assembly up here if I can figure out a way, and drill one 5/16 inch hole, hopefully all the way through. Let's see, is this going to be enough? Oh yeah, that should be more than enough, hopefully. Yeah, you can see it hardly even got to this side, but this side's the right size. So hopefully when we come back and do the this side here, we'll get it all the 1/2 inch all the way through, or really just most of the way through. I think would be pretty good too. Yep, good deal. You can tell it's a little bit more narrow in the middle, but I think we're good. Filling this up with epoxy and then drilling the 5/16 inch hole, we should have plenty of room for the thickened epoxy on the outside. So let me get the other one done, and then we'll do the rudder. So this is a 5/16 inch drill bit. Hopefully you can see this. So we got quite a bit of room here to fill it with epoxy, and then drill out the center, and it'll leave a ring of thickened epoxy around the plywood. So I think we're good to go there. Let me go ahead and get this situated, and let's see. I think the next thing we need to work on are the boom and the yard. So let me get set up and we'll talk about that a little bit. So for this build, I did get the Gunter sloop rig, and we need to look at the yard and the boom here. So they give us some basic instructions on the yard and the boom here. Shows the gooseneck here and the yard jaws up here. They show the yard as kind of a funky shape here with a slant on, a short slant on this end and a long slant on this end, and then a straight line along the bottom. And then the boom, they show the gooseneck and the two other parts that go on the boom. First, let's look at the yard. So they give you some just basic instructions here on putting the jaws on the yard, and the fins are pointed up with the slanty part of the yard here. They show it right here, and then put in with 2 screws. Now the problem I'm having here, and they show some fairly good detail, but not really enough. So here they're kind of showing it that it's parallel. The bottom should be parallel to the bottom of the yard itself. Yeah, the yard jaw is parallel to the bottom of the yard. And then here they kind of show it centered up, I guess. I don't know. And they give you some descriptions here. So 1/4 inch round over to the long edges of the yard. So that's what I'll call is the bottom of the yard, is what the long edges mean. And straight edges of the jaw are parallel to the straight edge of the yard. Study drawings careful to ensure you fasten the jaws correctly. Yeah, and they do show kind of a gap here, but then if we come over here, then here on this drawing, they show it's a 1/2 inch. So I think we're okay there. Now let me show you what I got. So yeah, so I've got it bolted in now. So this is I got the jaws right now parallel to the top, not the bottom. And the thing to remember too is that this is, so I've got the short piece of the mast, and this will be fitting in here like this, and probably it's something closer to this angle. So the jaws are meant to keep it from wiggling out. And I don't know, I think if I go lower with it, then this is going to have more room to wobble back around. But let me go ahead and adjust it to where I think they really want to put it, and we'll take a look and see how that looks. All right, then, it's another day out here in the shed working on this darn boat, and so I'm still looking at this yard and the yard jaws. They don't make this one easy, but I did get on the yard, I did get the round over done, and I did it so that I had just this faintest lip here. You can probably see it on the video, and this actually helped down here with getting the jaws in place. So I've got a nice parallel line here with the bottom all the way along, and looking at it, and so if you follow the whatever page I saw, the 1/2 inch distance here, then when you do that, then you have a pretty big gap up here between the end of the yard and where the jaw sits. So I decided I'm not going to follow that 1/2 inch. Well, you can see right here. So that first line there, oops, wrong way, wrong one. If you can see that first line there, and you can see at the top, there's a pretty good gap up here at the top. So I'm going to actually make it so that it's back here, and it's flush right here with the back of the yard. and we're going to do it that way. And also in the drawing, and again, I'm not sure, they show quite a bit of when you do the layup here and do the epoxying, they show quite a big blob of thickened epoxy here at the end, and I think that's a good idea. They say to base the mating surface, screw the parts, use squeezed out epoxy to apply small fillets between the jaw and the yard, as shown in the figure to the right. It doesn't really show. I guess it might, but anyways, I'll be covering the whole thing here with epoxy, and I might be putting just some small pieces of fiberglass here at the end, because this is where the yard will be rubbing up against the mast. If we take a look here, you can kind of see it here with the mast and then the yard sitting on that. So actually this back piece and then up onto this edge here is going to have quite a bit of wear on it, I would think, along with the edges of the jaws. So I might even try to, well, I'm going to put epoxy on those at least. I'm not sure if I'll put some, try to put some fiberglass in there or not. But the next thing to do anyways is to see if we can figure out how we're going to put the screws in here. And yeah, so the screws need to come down perpendicular to the yard, which means at a pretty good angle to the yard jaw. And I could probably try to clamp it together and do that, but then I've got this big old yard, and trying to maneuver it up on the drill press might be difficult. And then I could try the hand drill, but I think what I'm going to do anyways is just use the drill press to get the holes through the yard jaws, and then I'll come, and once I get the holes there, then I'll come back and mark it on the yard and then drill the yard separately. Also, I'll do, when it's on the drill press, I'll use my countersink to put some pretty deep countersinks in it, where they show that right there. So it's some pretty deep countersinks in it. When I marked I made the marks for the jaws here, I was a little bit worried about you know, if I'm not exact. So they have you using 3/4 inch bolts. The yard itself is 3/4 inch thick, so if I'm not careful, with my luck, I'd have one screw from one side hitting the screw on the other side. So I have offset these by maybe 1/8 of an inch, just laterally, so hopefully we'll miss each other when we do that. So let me get you set up. I'll go ahead and do the drilling on these parts first, then move the mark on the yard where I want the holes and drill that, and then see if we can get a dry fit done here. All right, then trying a new camera angle here to see if this gives you a better shot. I noticed some of my other shots I was blocking what I was actually doing. So we'll see how this works. Alrighty, that went pretty good. Now I just need to, I'm going to go ahead and mark the yard next before I do the countersink on these guys, and then we'll come back and do the countersink on them. So let me get them marked, and we'll be right back. All right, not sure what happened there. The video just stopped after I've done the countersink here. I noticed it. So anyways, the first one I did, I might have gone just a little bit too deep. The second one here I think is pretty good. I just need to clean up the edges here, probably with just an X-Acto or something for the tear out, and then put the 1/8 inch drill bit back in here and do the yard, the holes on the yard, and then we can do a dry fit. All right, got the pilot holes drilled. This one here, So I only drilled them a 1/2 inch deep, and this one here is actually just to the side of the other one on the other side. So hopefully we've got enough offset here, and these screws are pretty short. So not gonna tighten this down all the way. I'm just gonna snug them down a little bit, and hopefully we'll be pretty close. Well, that one looks pretty good. How am I going to do this? Well, that looks pretty darn good, I think. Still this one, and I can tighten both of these ones up more, and they should be pretty much recessed by that time. Both this one and this one. These ones here are real close. These don't have very much meat on them, so that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to crank down on them for a dry fit. But other than that, I'm pretty darn happy. If we look with the section of the mast here, yep, so the way it is now, the edges here of the jaws will be helping quite a bit with keeping it in, and it's nice and it's not rocking side to side very much, and it should be pretty darn tight. So when I do the epoxying, I want to make sure that I put some extra epoxy, maybe even some thickened epoxy along these edges here, and maybe do some kind of fiberglass, just small pieces of fiberglass on the back side and the end of this guy. So good. So let's see, the next part I think I want to do now is, I think these yards also have other holes that need to be, the yard and the boom have other holes that need to be drilled in them. So let me take a look at that and see if we can get that done today. All right, then the next thing I wanted to work on, I guess, was finally getting this boom put together. So they show holes here that come down through this top and into this rail. And you remember this bottom part here was the one that was kind of hosed up. And then they give you fairly good directions here: 11 3/4 inch, 1 inch from the end, and then 11 3/4 inch all the way along. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 8 screws there, and then 2 down here in the gooseneck. So I went ahead and measured these out at 11 3/4. So I got them all measured out. Now the way I did, so I do have it set up, and I think we're pretty straight on the bottom here. And the way I did that was, so this top part is 2 inches wide. The bottom rail is 3/4 inches wide. So if you take that and you get 1 1/4 inches left, and half of that is 5/8. So I set my my little whatever this darn thing is called at 5/8 inch, and then I can run it along both sides, and it's actually just a little under 5/8. So if it's not pushing out this way, then I know that side is good. And it's kind of hard to do this, but I can do this on this side too. So I think I'm pretty close here. It may not be exact, but I think we're pretty close all the way along. So I'll give it one more check here, and then we'll go ahead and set up. I was hoping to do this on the drill press, but there's no way. So I'll have to get the hand drill out, and we'll drill the 1/8 inch pilot holes, and then put the small countersink in the top of them, and then do a dry fit and see how that looks. that doesn't look too bad. Get some of these screws in and see what the damage looks like. Alright, moment of truth. Doesn't look too bad. You can see it's off a little bit in a couple spots. It's got just a little bit of a waver. Let's see. Right about in here, it's a little bit of a bow, but boy, you have to look pretty darn close at it to see that. So I think we'll call that a win. And I think that's enough for one day. All right, then, time to drill some holes in the yard and the boom. I'm glad I did the yard jaws the way they did. This 1/2 inch here on this drawing is actually where the hole goes, not where the the yard jaws go. So I think I got the yard jaws in the right spot anyways on that. So that's good to figure out finally. But they've got a whole bunch of different holes on both the yard and the boom to put in, and also they want to have some pretty good chamfer kind of thing, because ropes go through these, so you want to make sure you get these smoothed out. So, and also the took me a while to find this. All holes 5/16 inch diameter unless noted are to hole center. So that's the only place in this whole section where it tells you what size drill bit to use, but that's all right, we got it figured out. So anyways, I was trying to figure out how I was going to do this. It says kiss the hole with the edge of a countersink drill bit. I don't know what kiss the hole means, but anyways, they kind of give you a shot here at it. So I did some test runs with a 5/16 inch drill bit, and then actually on this one here, I tried using a router bit to see how that would do, and it tore it up pretty good. And then I used a little bit smaller countersink, and then I used a bigger one here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go with a bigger one, even though I've got kind of a little bit of trepidation on some of these holes. I think I'm going to have to switch down to the smaller one, because at least on this side it won't fit. Both sides of the holes are going to have to be chamfered on one side. So these on the boom, I think I'm going to have to switch down to a smaller size, because the bigger one is just not going to fit in there. So yeah, so I've got so on the boom here, we've got hole pairs going through the top. And so we got one there, we got another pair here, and then a final pair down here at the end of the boom. And then on the other side here, we've got a hole that goes that way down through the boom. And then on the yard, we've got a hole here, and then a hole. This is going to be a difficult one here on the top where the peak is, because the drill bit is almost long enough to get through there. We'll have to see. Hopefully it'll get through. And then one more. Yes, then down here at the end of the yard, we've got another drill. Got another hole to drill here at the end of the yard. So got lots of holes to drill, lots of chamfering and cleaning out to do. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done now. Then after that, all of these edges need to be rounded over with the router. I think I'm probably going to just use that 1/4 inch round over bit. I don't think it says in here. Does it say here somewhere? Now that I think about it. Yeah, it doesn't say. Neatly round over the exposed edges of the yard and boom. So I'll probably use just a 1/4 inch on that, and see how we do. So let me get the holes drilled, and then hopefully I'll get the router done today, but I'm kind of doubting it right now because it is 96 out here. All right, well, here goes nothing. Looks like a little wobble there. All right, let's try this again. All right, this could be a tough one. All right, not too bad. The if I thought about it, I should have lined them up this way. And it's close enough for center. Once we put the chamfer on there, wouldn't even notice it. So I think that's it for the boom, except for the chamfering. I think we're not too bad. That one's off a little bit. Crap. Alright, well, shouldn't matter too much, I don't think. So we got that one, that one. Alright, well, I think we're done with the holes. This one here is going to bother me a little bit, but not too much. Didn't get it come through straight all the way. I was tilted to one side. Probably make it worse. Alright, well that should work. Alright, so now I just got to chamfer them, I believe. Is 16 gonna fit? Nope. Yep, I'll have to use a 12 here. Alrighty, that ought to do that. Had a few things I wish I'd done a little better, but overall I think we're looking okay. Alright then, so I should be able to get the exposed edges of the yard and the boom routed here tomorrow. I'll take the boom apart and then do the edges there. That way it should be a lot easier taking it apart, and got to take it apart to glue it up anyways, and that should hopefully happen next episode here. I'm working on it, so I think we'll have a spot to do some epoxying again finally here, starting next episode. We'll have to see about that. Anyways, we're going to finish this one up here. Wanted to say thanks for watching, thanks for your support. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Please leave me any comments, questions, suggestions down below. Please tell your friends about me. Please subscribe. Everyone, take care and be good.